I'm here with Coach Tiny Green, and what we're going to talk about is some Shore Conference girls basketball. So what are your thoughts on this past season in Shore Conference?
That's an interesting question. I thought the Shore Conference this year was a little bit different than most years in that I think it was deeper than usual. There was no dominant team. In the past couple of years, Neptune has dominated the league, and there hasn't been a whole lot of mystery. They beat most of the teams by double figures, whereas this year, everybody's bumping off everybody. Rumson loses to St. Rose. St. Rose beats SJV. SJV beats RBC. So it's been an interesting season. You got Freehold coming out of nowhere to have a tremendous year, and then of course, Point Borough grew up this year, and they've kind of come into their own. They knocked off Rumson this year. They knocked off Jackson this year. They've been outstanding. And then Manasquan. I mean, what can you say about Manasquan? In the beginning of the season, they had some early season losses that surprised some people. But the second half of the year, they've been as good as anybody. Coach Romero, Michaela Mabry, Caitlin Flattery, the Sullivan kid, the entire Manasquan team has been lights out.
So would you say that those teams surprised you?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think Freehold surprised me this year. I think Manasquan was a surprise. And I have to tell you, I think Point Borough was a surprise. Because when you beat Rumson, Jackson twice, and Manasquan, if you said before the season they would do all that, nobody would have believed that. And to see Freehold Township in the top 10, I mean, come on, Ashley Stefanelli's been one of the big surprise players of the year. So yes, they have been surprising. They were really interesting teams. You know, there's also been some teams that didn't have great years that we expected. I mean, I thought everybody thought Rumson was going to be great. No, they've been, let's be honest, they've been average. They've been average. And Neptune, I think some people thought Neptune would dominate the game this year. That's clear that that's not going to happen. So
it was really a level playing field for most.
Yep, level playing. It's a great way to put it.
So some of the players, who stood out for you on which teams that really helped their team?
Well, well, look, first of all, Ashley Stefanelli, what she did this year is really going under the radar because Freehold Township was not expected to have the year they have, and Stefanelli's been one of the best scorers, best rebounders. She's been a good defender. She's been great all year. And of course, Kelly Hughes is blossomed. You know, there's no, look, let's face it, why are Rutgers and Marquette and the ACC and all these big schools recruiting her? Because she's been dynamite this year. For my money, she's been one of the top 3 players in the league. And then look, let's be honest, Michaela Mabry has been unbelievable. People were saying all year, shooting the ball too much, doing this, doing that. Well, guess what? She's defending now, She's rebounding now. She's got her teammates involved. Right now, she's at a different level than most of the players in the Shore. She's been great. And then, of course, Sam Clark is unbelievable. Sam Clark, for my money, is the most dominant player in the league. And then you have Jackie Cates, who you remove Jackie Cates from St. John Vianney, and they just become an ordinary team, in my opinion.
Right, I agree. Jackie Cates is an amazing player.
She really is.
So in terms of all that, do you really believe that the Shore Conference is the best in terms of competition?
Oh, look, this question is so silly, it's ridiculous. The Shore Conference is the best conference, not in New Jersey, in the country. And I'll tell you why. 16 Division I players, actually 17. Their underclassmen feature Clark, Mabry, Chambers, and Hughes. Okay? So they have no less than 3 major big-time players in the underclassmen, and no conference is walking around with 17 Division I players, and they're not done yet because you have Nikki Donahue and Morgan Thompson and Nicole Carter, who most likely will wind up Division I schools. And what nobody talks about is the coaching in the Shore. Please, you give me George Sorlis, John Truhan, Dawn Capel, Tom Brennan, Joe Montano, and then you show me 5 coaches and any coach in any league in the country like those guys, and I'll give you $1 million. It's the best league from competition and interest. And I'll go you one better. The girls basketball conference in the Shore, it is more popular maybe right now than the boys. And I'll go you one more step better. People now are talking about girls basketball, writing on these blogs, writing on these .coms. The Shore Conference is the staple and the backbone of all of this. So yes, the Shore Conference is the best conference in the country.
All right, you heard it, Tiny. Argue it till it's death.
Yes, I will.
And what do you feel about the Shore Conference tournament, how everything panned out, all the teams, where they stand, everything?
Well, I think the Shore Conference is going to be great. I really think Manasquan and Point Borough, I hate to say this, got thrown under the bus. Because Point Borough, for them to advance, they have to play Howard. Hometown. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. And then for Manasquan to advance, they have to play Middletown South, and they both should have been seated high. It's just that simple. They should have been seated high. But I think the tournament is wide open. I think any of these teams can win this event.
That's true. Anything can happen in sports. That's for sure. So in terms of what people can expect from the tournament, do you think that there's any team that is a team to beat, or the favorable team no matter what?
Well, I think that right now, St. John Vianney is the team to beat.
Yes.
They may not be the number one seed, but they're the team to beat. They have the deepest team. They have the most seniors. They have the most experience. They've been in more battles than anybody. They are the team to beat. But everybody else has a fighting chance.
You talked earlier about Neptune and how they have really made it to the top the past 2 years over the Shore Conference. So now, what are your thoughts on where they are now, where they stand now?
I think Samaya Allen was a bigger piece than anybody ever imagined, and I think Neptune is feeling the crunch of losing her. They're still a great team. They still have the great guards. They still have China Golden, but they're just not as dominant. They're not as dominant, and they may not want to hear this, but I don't believe their chemistry is even remotely what it was last year. But Neptune, if they get on the roll, nobody can stop them if they get rolled.
It's all about chemistry. It's all about chemistry in the teams, and when teams lose players to colleges. So,
yep.
So lastly, give me 5 players that you think need to play well for their team to win this championship.
Oh, well, that's a great question. Because look, Jackie Cates doesn't play well, bye-bye St. John Vianney. It's that simple. Ashley Cooper doesn't play well, bye-bye Rumson. Kelly Hughes doesn't play well, bye-bye Point Borough. Michaela Mabry doesn't play well, and Manasquan has no child. Megan McGinnis, they've been beaten up all year, Middletown South. If Megan McGinnis does not have a great tournament, no way Middletown South can advance.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking with me.
Thank you.
Make sure to look all this up on the Hoop Group's blog. Also, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.